Let's be real for a second. Most people aren't broke because they don't work hard. Hell, in this country, people hustle like their life depends on it. 2 jobs, night shifts, side gigs, Uber on weekends. And yet, they're still stuck, living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt, feeling like they're one emergency away from everything falling apart. You ever wonder why? Here's the thing. Being broke has less to do with your income and way more to do with your internal blueprint around money. You can increase your salary, get a bonus, even land a 6-figure job, and still stay broke if your mindset is wired for survival instead of growth. The truth is, money problems usually start in your head, not your wallet, and that's a hard pill to swallow, especially in a culture that tells you, just work harder, as if burnout was the ticket to financial freedom. But let me ask you something. If hard work guaranteed wealth, wouldn't your parents, your teachers, your blue-collar uncle who's been grinding since '85 be millionaires by now? You've probably heard this before, but no one tells you why it matters. You don't get rich by effort alone. You get rich by alignment between your beliefs, your habits, and your financial decisions. That's why so many people self-sabotage right when things start to get good. They get a raise and suddenly their expenses magically rise to match it. They start saving and boom, they justify a treat-yourself splurge. It's not stupidity, it's programming. We've been taught to manage money emotionally, not strategically. And those emotions, they're shaped by years of silent beliefs we didn't even choose. If I just work harder, I'll get rich. Sounds noble, feels right. But it's a trap, because no one tells you the full story. Without the right mindset, hard work becomes just another form of survival. Think of it like this. You're trying to stream Netflix with 1990s dial-up internet. Doesn't matter how many shows you click on. If the system isn't upgraded, nothing flows. Same with your finances. You can hustle, you can budget, you can even invest. But if deep down, you believe money is hard to get, that you're not the type who builds wealth or that wanting more is selfish, then guess what? You'll keep finding ways to prove those beliefs right. Your brain isn't wired to make you rich. It's wired to keep you safe. And to your subconscious, unfamiliar wealth feels unsafe. So you stay in your comfort zone, even if that zone is paycheck to paycheck anxiety. But here's the wake-up call. Staying broke isn't just about circumstances. It's often about loyalty to the beliefs you've carried for years. So if you've ever thought, I just need to work harder, I get it. That belief comes from a real place, but it's time to question it, challenge it, and most of all, replace it. Because the journey to wealth doesn't start with your bank account. It starts with your beliefs. You ever stop to ask yourself why you believe what you believe about money? Like seriously, where did it all come from? That little voice in your head that says, I'm not good with money, or I'll never be rich, or even worse, rich people are bad people. You didn't just wake up one day thinking that. Those beliefs were planted. Slowly, repeatedly, and usually by people who loved you and meant well, but meaning well and knowing better aren't the same thing. Think about it. If you grew up hearing phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees when we can't afford that, or you gotta struggle to make it in this world, then yeah, of course you've got a complicated relationship with money. That was your financial programming. It shaped your worldview before you even realized what was happening. And it wasn't just your parents. It was school, friends, TV shows, Sunday sermons, Hollywood movies that painted rich people as cold villains or greedy CEOs. The hero was always the underdog who barely made ends meet but had a heart of gold. So now deep down a part of you feels like if you make too much money, you might lose your humanity, or that people will judge you. It's wild how deep this runs. Take Sarah, for example. Grew up in a small town, family was paycheck to paycheck. Her mom worked 2 jobs, dad was barely around. She was taught to stretch every dollar and never, ever waste money. Sounds responsible, right? But now, at 32, Sarah has a great job in tech, makes more money than she ever imagined. And she still feels guilty every time she spends more than $20 on herself. Why? Because money to her still equals fear, scarcity, pressure. She didn't just inherit her parents' habits. She inherited their emotions. And that's the piece most people miss. Your money beliefs aren't just thoughts, they're feelings, wired into your nervous system. That's why budgeting apps and spreadsheets alone don't work. You can't logic your way out of emotional programming. Here's what most folks don't realize. Your brain craves familiarity, not success. So if your childhood was filled with financial stress, guess what? Your nervous system got used to that stress. And now, when things finally feel good, when you have extra in savings, when your bills are paid, you almost sabotage it. Not because you want to, but because peace feels unfamiliar. Unsafe even. That's why you keep repeating the same patterns. Why you save $1,000 and somehow blow it 2 weeks later. Why you get out of debt, then rack up the same amount again. You're not bad with money. You're just living in alignment with the beliefs you never chose, and those beliefs are sneaky. They sound like, I'm just not the financial type, or people like me don't get ahead. But what they really mean is, this is what I've always known. And I don't know who I'd be without that story. But you can change the story, not by shaming yourself, not by pretending it doesn't matter, but by getting honest, by tracing those beliefs back to where they started and deciding if they still serve you today. Because let's be clear, you didn't choose the money beliefs you grew up with. But now you get to choose which ones you keep, and that choice, that's where the real freedom begins. Here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Money isn't evil, it's a tool, and you deserve to use it well. Most people never hear that. Not from their parents, not from their schools, not from their jobs, and definitely not from the culture we live in. Instead, you're told to chase it, fear it, resent it, worship it, but never to simply use it. Like a hammer, like a pair of shoes, like a key. And just like any tool, money doesn't make you good or bad. It amplifies who you already are. If you're generous, it gives you more ways to give. If you're driven, it gives you more power to build. If you're scared, money just makes those fears louder. But here's the good news. Those fears aren't permanent. They're habits of thought. And habits, they can be broken, rewritten, rewired. The first step? Awareness. I know that word sounds soft, like a yoga poster or a self-help slogan. But don't be fooled. Awareness is power. Awareness is how you take your brain off autopilot and start driving your life with both hands on the wheel. So let's get practical. Take the next 7 days and do one simple thing. Track your thoughts about money. Not your spending, your thoughts. Every time you catch yourself thinking something like, I can't afford that, I'll never get ahead, or that's too expensive, write it down. Doesn't matter if it's in your notes app or scribbled on a napkin. The goal isn't perfection. It's exposure, because what stays hidden can't be healed. And don't just track the negative stuff. Notice the good too, like the moment you paid a bill and felt proud. Or that small voice that said, what if I could actually get ahead this year? Those moments matter. They're proof your mindset is already trying to shift. Remember, transformation doesn't start with doing more. It starts with noticing differently. Think of your brain like a playlist. For years, it's been playing the same tired tracks. Struggle is noble. Money is hard. Success is for other people. You don't change the station by yelling at it. You change it by consciously picking new songs. And yeah, at first it'll feel awkward, even fake, like you're lying to yourself. But that's just your old beliefs fighting to stay relevant. That's normal. Growth always feels like discomfort at the beginning, because the truth is, you've been living inside a money story that never fit you, a script someone else handed you. And now, for the first time, you're holding the pen. So over these next few days, get curious. Don't judge your thoughts, observe them, ask, where did that come from? Is that actually true? What if I believed the opposite? You'd be surprised how fast your life can change when your mind starts believing new things. This isn't about pretending you're rich. It's about building the mindset that leads you there, step by honest step, thought by upgraded thought. And it all starts with one question. What have I been believing about money? And is it still serving? Me? Here's something nobody tells you. You can't just erase an old belief. You've got to replace it because your brain hates a vacuum. If you don't give it a new pattern to follow, it'll go right back to the one it knows, even if that pattern is keeping you broke. So after you've spent a week tracking your thoughts, it's time to do the real work, rewiring. And no, this isn't some mystical, think it, and you'll be a millionaire by Friday nonsense. This is daily, mental strength training, discipline of thought. Because the way you think about money isn't just a mindset, it's a muscle. And right now that muscle is either weak from neglect or tight from trauma. Let's loosen it up. Every morning before the world gets loud, take 5 minutes and say 3 new beliefs out loud. Not affirmations that feel like lies, real, grounded, truths you want to build into your system. Something like, money flows to me when I create value. I'm learning to be a great steward of my wealth. It's safe for me to succeed financially. At first, yeah, it's gonna feel weird, like you're trying to speak a language you've only heard in movies. But trust me, your brain is listening. And more importantly, it's adapting. Because what fires together, wires together. That means the more often you think something, say something, act on something, the more your brain believes it's true. And eventually, those new beliefs stop feeling like rah-rah motivation and start feeling like home. Now let's pair that with input. Because you can't build a new money mindset if your daily environment is feeding the old one. Start surrounding yourself, digitally and physically, with voices that stretch you. Read books that reframe wealth as a responsibility, not a curse. Tune into podcasts that make you feel empowered, not ashamed. Follow creators who teach, not flex. You're not trying to be a finance expert. You're trying to normalize wealth in your world. Because here's the sneaky truth. Your brain believes what it sees most often. So if all you see are people stressed about bills, struggling with debt, or mocking rich folks, then yeah, wealth will always feel foreign. But when you start seeing people like you, same background, same doubts, winning financially, it activates something powerful. Hope, and hope, that's the most underrated asset in your portfolio. Take Mike, a 38-year-old. Dad from Ohio. Grew up broke, stayed broke, thought it was just how it is for guys like him. Then he started feeding his mind new input. A podcast on mindset during his morning drive. A chapter from a money book before bed. And daily affirmations that felt awkward at first. Until they didn't. Within 6 months he'd started saving. Investing small amounts, and most importantly, he stopped feeling like a financial imposter. Because the belief shifted, he didn't win the lottery. He rewired his thoughts. And that's the real prize here. Not just more dollars in your account, but a deeper trust in yourself. A quiet confidence that says, I can handle money. I deserve this. I'm building something real. So keep repeating the new beliefs. Keep feeding your brain what it needs, not what it's used to. Because this isn't about pretending you're rich. It's about preparing your mind for the abundance that's coming. And trust me, it is coming. There's a moment in every transformation where things get uncomfortable. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing something different. That's where most people quit. Not when it's hard, but when it's unfamiliar. Because you're not just changing habits, you're changing identity. And that's big. You want to know the real secret to building wealth? It's not just saving, investing, budgeting, or earning more. Those are tools, but none of them matter if you still see yourself as someone who always struggles with money. That identity will sabotage every step forward. Here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your self-image. So ask yourself, who are you becoming? Not in some hypothetical 5 years from now way, but today, right now. Who do you show up as when you make a financial decision? Are you acting like someone who trusts themselves? Like someone who deserves financial peace? Like someone who's building a future? Because whether you realize it or not, every dollar you spend, save, or ignore, it's casting a vote for the kind of person you believe you are. That's why this next stretch, days 16 to 23, isn't just about information. It's about embodiment. It's time to start acting like the person who deserves wealth. That doesn't mean reckless spending or fake flexing. It means carrying yourself with quiet confidence, making choices with intention. It means showing up to your life as someone who respects their money, even if there's not a lot of it yet. You know what that looks like? Looks like saying no to random Amazon impulse buys, not out of guilt, but out of alignment. It looks like setting up a recurring $50 transfer to your savings and treating it like a non-negotiable bill. It looks like walking past something flashy and saying, "That's not in my plan right now and I'm good with that." It's not about deprivation. It's about direction. Think about Josh, 33, warehouse job, 2 kids, never made more than $42K a year. He used to laugh at the idea of building wealth, said it wasn't for people like him. But one day he decided to flip that narrative. Started investing $50 a month, got serious about learning, treated his money like it mattered. 3 years later, he's still not rich, but he's confident. He's in control. And that feeling? That's wealth too, because the goal here isn't just financial freedom. It's emotional freedom around money. No more shame, no more chaos. No more seeing yourself as someone who just can't get ahead. You're not stuck because you're incapable. You're stuck because you haven't fully stepped into who you really are. So let's make this real. This week, act as if you already believed in your worth. Not in a fake it till you make it way, in a practice it until it's true way. Because the version of you that's financially free, they're not waiting at the finish line. They're built right now by the choices you make today. By now, you've started shifting the way you think. You've been paying attention to your beliefs, challenging old patterns, and even stepping into the identity of someone who deserves wealth. But there's still one piece that most people skip: the relationship itself. Because money isn't just paper or numbers on a screen, it's a relationship. And the way you treat it? That tells the whole story. For most of us, the relationship started off rocky. Maybe money felt like a ghost, never around when you needed it. Or maybe it was like a bully, always making you feel small, stressed, ashamed. Either way, the message was clear. Money is something to fear, chase, or survive. But here's the shift. It's time to stop treating money like a monster and start treating it like a partner. Think about it. You wouldn't build a healthy relationship with someone by ignoring them, yelling at them, or only talking to them when you're desperate. Yet that's how most people treat money. Total avoidance until the credit card is maxed. Total panic when rent is due. Or complete guilt the second they buy something for themselves. And then we wonder why it never feels stable. Let's change that. Start talking to money like it's part of your team. Like it works for you. Because it does. You're the CEO, money is the employee. And if you don't lead it with clarity, it'll just wander off and work for someone else. Begin by getting clear on your values. Not just what you want to buy, but why it matters. Maybe it's freedom, maybe it's security. Maybe it's being able to say yes to your kids without flinching. Whatever it is, put it at the center of your plan. Then give your money a mission. A vision board isn't just some Pinterest thing. It's a way to remind your nervous system what you're working toward. That vacation you've never taken, that debt-free life, that house where you can breathe again. Print the pictures, write the numbers, make it real. Not just for inspiration, but for direction. And once you've got the vision, stay connected to the process. Check in with your money like you'd check in with a partner you respect. Not obsessively, but regularly. Weekly money dates, monthly reviews. A few minutes to say, how are we doing? Are we moving in the direction that honors who I want to be? Because when you treat money with consistency, it starts showing up differently. It feels less like chaos and more like conversation. You're not begging anymore. You're collaborating. That's the new relationship. Take Jess, 41, single mom. Used to cry every month doing bills. She didn't change her income overnight. What she changed was how she saw her money. She stopped shaming herself. She got honest, got organized, and got intentional. Today, she still has responsibilities, still has goals, but she's not afraid anymore. She leads her money. It doesn't lead her. And that kind of peace, that's wealth most people never talk about. Because being rich isn't just about how much you have. It's about how you feel about what you have. That quiet, grounded energy that says, I've got this. You're not chasing anymore. You're partnering, and that changes everything. So here you are. 30 days in, you've questioned beliefs you didn't even know were there. You've looked at your money story with fresh eyes. You've practiced new thoughts, made new choices, and probably felt both proud and uncomfortable along the way. That's not a coincidence, that's growth. But let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. This isn't the end of a challenge. It's the beginning of a new chapter. Because the work of transforming your money mindset, it doesn't happen in a straight line. It's not one of those neat before and after stories. It's a cycle, a spiral. You loop back through the same lessons, but each time with more awareness, more strength, more clarity. And eventually, what once felt impossible becomes automatic. That's how transformation really works. Maybe you still feel a little shaky. Maybe some old beliefs are trying to creep back in. That's okay. You're not broken, you're human. And undoing decades of programming in a few weeks? That takes guts. Most people never even try. But you did. And that matters. Because now, you know too much to go back. You've seen that money isn't just math, it's mindset. That your past doesn't have to define your financial future. That your value isn't tied to your income, but your intentions. You've tasted what it feels like to act from power instead of panic. To build instead of react. To lead instead of chase. And once you've felt that shift, even for a second, it's hard to forget it. You start making decisions not from fear, but from vision. You start honoring your money, not worshiping it, not fearing it, but using it with purpose. You begin to trust yourself again, or maybe for the first time. That's the real win here. Because here's the thing, mindset isn't just some fluffy concept. It's the engine behind everything. It's what determines whether you shrink in the face of bills or rise with a plan. Whether you stay stuck in cycles or start carving your own path. And you've already started carving. You've taken back control in a world that profits off your confusion. You've said no to shame, no to scarcity, no to the idea that people like you don't get ahead. And you've started saying yes to discipline, to ownership, to possibility. So now the question is, what comes next? Because this isn't just about what you do with your money. It's about who you become in the process. Do you keep building, keep rewiring, keep showing up even when no one's clapping yet? Or do you slip back into default mode? Comfortable, familiar, and quietly destructive? Only you can answer that. But if this hit you in any way, if something shifted even a little, then maybe it's time to unlearn a few more things. Maybe it's time to double down, not drift off, because financial peace isn't a finish line. It's a lifestyle, and you're already living it, one thought at a time. So stay in it. Keep going. And if you ever need a reminder, you know where. To find me, hit subscribe. Let's keep rewriting this money story together.